Incredible moment. Young girl's touching act for child discovered by wealthy father. Life-changing. In a small, scrappy suburban neighborhood, 10-year-old Lily was about to change everything. With a smile that could light up the gloomiest day, she had a heart as big as the sky. Every lunchtime at school, she'd share her sandwiches with classmates who grinned wide at the taste, though her own family struggled, with her hard-working single mom juggling multiple jobs. Lily believed kindness was a currency worth spending. One deep spring day, while volunteering at the local community center, Lily met Noah. He was a timid boy, eyes downcast, who barely spoke as he stacked chairs. But when Lily handed him a granola bar, his face transformed. It sparked an unwavering friendship, one where unspoken fears and whispered dreams intertwined. But as days rolled on, Lily learned that Noah's family was on the brink of losing their home due to unexpected medical bills. The news hit her like a punch. She couldn't just stand by. Fueled by compassion, Lily hatched an ambitious plan. They would set up a lemonade stand. With bright yellow signs and the exuberance of summer, the two friends would try to save Noah's family from eviction. "We can do this," Lily declared, her eyes sparkling with hope. But as whispers trickled through their economically challenged neighborhood, some neighbors curled their lips in doubt. "What can a lemonade stand do?" they sneered, tossing glances that dripped with skepticism. Yet, Lily pressed forward, unwavering in her mission. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The day of the stand arrived, and excitement fizzed in the air. With each cup of lemonade sold, Lily's determination ripened. But unexpected complications bubbled up when local news crews caught wind of the story. Lily's heartfelt quest lit up screens across the community. Suddenly, support poured in from every shadowed corner. Neighbors offered donations and shared words of encouragement. Just when hope soared high, a mix-up with the funds put Lily's pure intentions at risk. Then, in a twist of fate, Noah's father, a high-powered businessman, approached the lemonade stand that day. His face was a layered mask of confusion, curiosity, and frustration as Lily stood before him, resolute. Unbeknownst to him, her struggle was mirrored in his son's heart. "What are you doing?" he challenged, eyes narrowed, sensing the tension rise. In that charged moment, everything collided. The true weight of privilege met raw struggle. Could they understand one another, caught in this storm of emotions? Adrenaline raced through Lily's veins as she stood her ground, tears brimming. Would they find common ground? Would compassion bloom even in their differences? As the crowd murmured and shifted, Lily's brave act floated in the air, waiting for resolution. The heavy question loomed. Could someone from two worlds tethered by hardship truly grasp the essence of each other's struggles? The stakes had never felt higher. Would Lily's courageous kindness be enough to shift the balance for both families? The silence that followed felt thick, almost suffocating. Lily's heart pounded in her chest as she met the piercing gaze of Noah's father. Around them, the crowd held its breath, sensing the volatile need for connection or perhaps confrontation. Her voice trembled as she finally spoke up. "We just want to help, sir." His brow furrowed, the weight of the world pressing down on him. "Help?" He scoffed, incredulous. "With lemonade?" Lily clenched her fists, fighting back tears of frustration. "Lemonade is just the start. We're trying to save Noah's home, to help his family." The last words felt like a prayer, floating between them. Noah, standing to the side, looked between the two charges of emotion. His eyes shimmered with unshed tears, merging hope and fear. Did his father really understand? Did he care? For one harrowing moment, hope hung suspended in the air. The murmurs of the crowd amplified as gaze shifted from father to child, questioning this extraordinary scene. Each pair of eyes watched intently, waiting for resolution in a universe where kindness often battled indifference. Then, Noah's father took a step closer, kneeling down to meet Lily at eye level. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, softer now. Lily hesitated, taking a deep breath. Because everyone deserves a chance," she said, her voice steadier. "I know what it's like to be scared, to feel like you might lose everything. I want to help Noah. We can show you the world through this lemonade stand." Twitching with vulnerability, Noah's father seemed taken aback. Slowly, he shifted from skepticism to contemplation. Lily's earnestness had shattered the wall between their worlds, if just for a moment. In that moment of connection, the crowd erupted in a chorus of murmurs, a wave of empathy washing over them. People shared their own stories of struggles and triumphs. "We're all in this together," one neighbor called out, clasping their hands together. "Let's help them." As if sparked by this groundswell of emotion, Noah's father glanced at the stand, then at his son. "You're really trying to change things, aren't you?" he queried, his voice trembling slightly. "Yes?" Lily's eyes lit up, a hopeful smile growing wider. "It's not just lemonade, it's about helping each other." The businessman stood up, a gleam of resolve breaking through his confusion. "All right then, let's make this work together." His voice resonated with newfound determination, and Lily's heart soared at the unexpected alliance blossoming before her. The lemonade stand transformed into a hub of hope. People lining up not just for drinks, but for connections that had been previously unthought of. Noah and Lily shared a triumphant glance, realizing that they had ignited something much larger than a simple stand. They had united their community in a shared purpose. But with the tides turning, a new worry crept into Lily's mind. What about the funds? Would the unexpected support be enough to save Noah's family from eviction? As she glanced at Noah's father, she couldn't help but wonder what his next move would be. Would he extend the help they desperately needed, or would the allure of his own world tug him back toward indifference? The weight of the moment hung palpably in the air. The collaboration felt promising, but uncertainty loomed. Would compassion and community truly prevail? With renewed focus and one eye on the bustling crowd, she took a deep breath, ready to fight for her friend. The outcome rested not just in their hands, but in the hearts of everyone coming together. Would they all rise to the occasion? The energy in the air was electric, with voices rising and intertwining like a tapestry of hope. Lily's heart raced as she watched Noah's father step away from that critical moment, his shoulders slightly less burdened. He turned to the crowd, allowing himself a tentative smile as people approached the stand, eager to support what had just shifted from a simple lemonade sale to a potential lifeline. "All right, listen up, everyone," Noah's father called out, his voice breaking through the murmur of excitement. "My son and Lily believe that this lemonade stand can make a difference, and I'm willing to match every dollar you donate today." Lily's heart soared. The murmurs turned into applause, a compassionate wave washing over the entire gathering. She exchanged glances with Noah, who blinked back tears of relief and gratitude. It was as if the sun had peeked through the clouds, showering warmth on a chilly morning. "I want to make sure this stand represents more than just lemonade," Noah's father continued, the conviction in his voice strong. "Let's make it about community, about every single one of us coming together to support families like ours, facing challenges we never expected." "Nobody should face those challenges alone," Lily shouted, her voice rising above the crowd. She felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it. This was the moment she had envisioned when she first approached Noah. People nodded, some reaching into their pockets. One woman stepped forward, a determined look in her eyes. "I can bake cookies to sell, and I know a guy who owns a pizza shop. He'll help too." Ideas flowed like a swift stream, the crowd coalescing into a project larger than any one of them had dreamed. Each contribution, whether small or grand, ignited even more enthusiasm. Children darted off to gather supplies, adults formed committees, and the lemonade stand rapidly began to morph into something much more complex and beautiful. Noah beamed, a flicker of hope lighting up his eyes. Lily felt a swell of pride. They had sparked something, an ember that had ignited the flames of collaboration, understanding, and kindness. But as she reveled in the joy of the moment, another thought crossed her mind. Would this surge of compassion last? Would people stay involved once the immediate crisis passed? Or would they drift back to the complacency that had once shadowed their actions? Noah's father caught her eye again, sensing her worry, perhaps mirroring it in his own struggle. "We'll figure out a way to keep this going," he promised. "I won't let Noah's family fall through the cracks." Lily nodded, but the knot in her stomach tightened. Actions would speak louder than words. While today felt like a victory, she needed to ensure they didn't lose momentum. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the lemonade stand and those gathered around, Lily felt a rush of determination. They had opened the door to something extraordinary tonight. But as the crowd buzzed with joy, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part lay ahead. Would their newfound connections withstand the coming storm, or would it all fall away like sand through their fingers? Just then, a distant rumble echoed across the evening sky. Dark clouds began to roll in, casting a shadow over their gathering. The first droplets of rain began to fall, mixing with the laughter and resolve as Lily lifted her face to the sky. "Let's make sure this isn't just lemonade," she called out, sounding more like a battle cry intent on capturing everyone's gaze. "Let's make this a movement." As they all cheered, a single thought pierced through the chaos of anticipation. Could they really turn this ripple into a wave that would reshape their community forever? Raindrops splattered lightly on the tables, creating a rhythmic patter that somehow blended with the festivity humming in the air. The taste of anxiety mixed with excitement on Lily's tongue. She could see the uncertainty in the faces around her as the weather took a turn. Still, the energy held strong, lifting their spirits despite the looming storm. "Keep selling!" shouted a voice from the back. It was Mr. Johnson, the local baker, his white apron speckled with flour. "A little rain won't stop us. Who wants lemonade?" The cheers that erupted encouraged Lily and Noah. They pushed aside their fears for the moment, throwing up temporary shields of hope. Noah was practically bouncing on the balls of his feet, brimming with enthusiasm that lit up his features as brightly as the stand's little lights twinkled above them. Lily felt it too, a sense of purpose laced with joy. This weather was just a backdrop. It wasn't going to deter what they had set into motion. She moved to embrace the momentum. "Yes, let's show everyone what we can do." People rallied together, forming tasks. Children splashed through puddles to deliver cups of lemonade, while adults took charge of making signs, rallying the crowd to lend their abilities. The rain became a catalyst, urging them to act faster, and with more conviction. Glancing at Noah, she noticed how fiercely he was smiling, despite the drops soaking through his shirt. That was infectious. "Do you think it'll last?" he asked, his voice only a hint through the noise. Lily placed her hand on his shoulder, squeezing gently as they swapped glances. "I have to believe it will. Everyone's in it together now." But a flicker of doubt washed over her. What would happen when the rain subsided, when the glow of today faded into memories, and when challenges resurfaced? She wanted to vocalize her concerns, to ask Noah if he felt the same dread lingering. But instead, she focused on the here and now. "All right, who wants to help us make the biggest jug of lemonade the town has ever seen?" she called out to the crowd, hoping to inspire them further. The laughter that followed was magical, echoing loudly against the thunder above. Mr. Johnson made a grand gesture of filling the giant pitcher, and kids filed in, vying for the best spot to help. Yet just as the adrenaline surged and laughter filled the soggy air, a flash of light illuminated the sky. Followed closely by a deafening crack of thunder, the heavens opened, unleashing a torrential downpour. "Get the awnings up!" cried Mr. Johnson, and everyone sprang into action, trying to shield the lemonade stand from what felt like nature's fury. Lily's heart raced as she noticed some people starting to back away, hesitating at the thought of braving the weather. "No! Don't leave!" she shouted, urgency rising in her chest. "This is our moment!" But the fearful rain already had its grip tightening around their excited efforts. The connection they had forged felt slippery, and as Lily reached out, her words sunk into a void of uncertainty. The crowd buzzed with concern as the storm continued to rage. Their initial exuberance began to crack, threatening to splinter just as much as the heavy raindrops were bending the umbrellas. Lily stood frozen for a moment, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down heavily on her. Noah caught her gaze then, and with heart-thumping panic, he took her hand. Together they shared a silent promise, a determination that this storm wouldn't erase the hope they had built. "We'll figure this out. Together," he whispered, eyes filled with fierce resolve. But as the rain poured and shadows darkened their makeshift gathering, Lily couldn't shake off the gnawing question. How could they hold on to this momentum against the storm both outside and within their community? Then, amidst the chaos, she spotted a familiar figure approaching through the torrent, a man she hadn't expected to see again. As he stepped closer, eyes fixed intently on their gathering, she could feel the change in the energy. Would this newcomer be the key to their survival, or would he be another force that pulled them back into the shadows? At first, Lily couldn't make out the person trudging through the downpour. Rain blurred her vision, but as the figure drew nearer, her heart skipped a beat. It was Dylan, the wealthy businessman who once turned his back on the town. She recalled the murmur of gossip that surrounded his family, how they left for brighter opportunities only to return with a reputation for coldness that shrouded them like the dark clouds above. "What's he doing here?" Lily muttered to Noah, her grip tightening on his hand. He shrugged, equally puzzled, but hopeful. Dylan slowed as he got closer, the weight of each step heavy against the soaking ground. "Is this what you all had planned?" he called out over the rain as he approached the stand. His voice, usually smooth and authoritative, cracked under the weight of the storm. Lily stood taller, brushing back the wet strands of hair that clung to her face. "We're selling lemonade for the community," she proclaimed, her words carrying an assertive edge. "We're not letting a little rain stop us." A flicker of something, was it admiration, crossed Dylan's face, but it quickly faded into a concerned frown. "You're going to drown out here." "Not if everyone stays and works together," Noah chimed in passionately. "We're here for each other, not just for ourselves." The crowd swelled with murmurs as they eavesdropped on the exchange. Lily could feel the tension shifting like the winds around them. She sensed the hushed doubts from a few familiar faces, lingering like dark shadows in the corners of the gathering. They longed for his approval, for the reassurance that someone with power cared. Dylan appeared to battle his thoughts, his focus torn. "You've galvanized these people, but the rain? It's too much," he hesitated, and Lily felt as though she might choke on the silence that fell in response. A resounding clap of thunder echoed overhead, and she glanced around at their friends, neighbors, and children peering up at the sky with fear. The enthusiasm that had burned so brightly a few moments earlier dimmed, and doubt flooded back like the relentless rain. "Wait!" Lily found her voice rising above the storm. "What if we had a shelter, somewhere dry for everyone to gather? We could keep the spirits alive." "An event like this?" Dylan caught the glimmer of inspiration. "It could work." "Then let's do it. You might have resources we don't," she rallied, her voice fierce and full of hope. "Help us make a place where everyone can come together. You can help reshape how our community sees you." Lily felt Noah's hand squeeze tighter, as though lending her courage to push through the tension hanging in the air. She hadn't expected to stand there, challenging Dylan to commit to something greater, but maybe that's exactly what this moment was about. And there it was, a flicker in Dylan's stormy demeanor, perhaps an awakening to something he'd turned away from for so long, the needs of his hometown. The raindrops morphed into a backdrop as he looked at the gathering, his expression shifting from doubt to determination, the promise of a changed narrative. "All right," he said, a hint of strength creeping into his voice. "Let's find a place where we can gather everyone. I'll make sure there's shelter, and we can serve the lemonade there." Cheers erupted from the crowd again, the melody of excitement surging once more. Lily's heart swelled as she saw their faces beam with renewed hope. But as they began to rally toward their next destination, Lily couldn't shake the gnawing question lingering in the back of her mind. Would Dylan truly follow through, or would they find their strides faltering once more when the rain finally receded? The crowd buzzed with an electric mix of hope and uncertainty as they moved in unison toward the community hall, the persistent rain drumming against the pavement like an anxious heart. Lily felt buoyed by the energy around her, but a shadow loomed inside. Could Dylan really pull this off? She glanced back at him, his figure partially obscured by the sheets of rain. But his purpose seemed clearer than before. "Let's get organized!" Noah shouted, his voice ringing out over the rain. "Everyone, grab your supplies! We need to mobilize quickly before this gets worse." The crowd dispersed into waves of laughter and chatter, each person eager to play their part. It felt as though the storm was pulling them closer together rather than breaking them apart. Maybe this was their moment, a chance to change not just the community's view of Dylan, but perhaps even his own view of them. Lily grabbed a box of lemons, their bright yellow shells a stark contrast to the dreary gray above. Each citrus fruit felt like a tiny ray of sunshine in her hands, as if symbolizing the warmth they were trying to create. As she began to make her way through the crowd, she spotted a small boy sitting on a bench, his eyes wide and shivering from the cold. He was drenched, his cheeks flushed, and next to him, his older sister stood with her arms wrapped tightly around him. "Hey, you two," Lily called out, approaching them. "Are you all right?" The girl nodded, though her face showed the worry of protecting her little brother. "We just came for the lemonade. We didn't think it would rain this hard." "Well," Lily said, her heart softening, "we're making sure no one misses out. You can join us at the hall. It'll be dry inside and we'll have plenty of lemonade." The siblings perked up, glances exchanged full of unspoken relief. "Will they have cookies too?" the boy asked, his voice small. Lily felt a warmth blossom in her chest. "I'll make sure they do." Moments like that reminded her why they were doing this. Not just lemonade, not just a shelter. It was about community and kindness, finding hope in little gestures even on the darkest of days. She beckoned the children to follow her, and together they jogged toward the hall, her heart racing not only from the sprint but from the joy of making connections. As they entered the hall, she was surprised to find the space already bustling. Dylan was inside, speaking with some townfolk, his demeanor noticeably lighter. He seemed to take charge, directing people as they set up tables and chairs. Lily felt a surge of gratitude as she watched him work. Perhaps the storm was nudging him toward embracing his roots. But then, a flicker of doubt burst into her thoughts. What if this was just a temporary act for show? What if, once the rain stopped and the crowds dispersed, he returned to his distant ways? That thought crept in and tainted the warmth of the moment. "Hey, Lily," Noah called out, breaking through her haze. "We need more lemonade here." She nodded, shaking off her worries, and headed to the makeshift kitchen area where the scents of fresh lemons and sugar filled the air. As she began mixing ingredients, she caught a glimpse of Dylan again. He was smiling, sharing stories, genuinely engaging with people. Something in her heart stirred. Maybe change was possible. But just then, the lights flickered and dimmed. A hush fell over the crowd as they looked around, uncertain. "What's going on?" someone asked nervously. The storm seemed to be intensifying outside, just as uncertainty loomed heavier inside the room. Lily's pulse quickened as panic swept through her. "We need to get the lights back on." And in that moment, she realized, just as their community felt fragile, so did her own faith in the changes happening around her. As darkness enveloped them, another clap of thunder rang out, echoing like a warning. Would Dylan rise to the occasion? Or would this be just another storm that swept through, leaving them all back where they started? The sudden darkness felt suffocating, wrapping around Lily like a thick blanket. She could hear the murmurs of uncertainty ripple through the crowd, the nervous shuffling of feet, and the distant rumble of thunder doing little to reassure them. "Stay calm." Noah's voice sliced through the tension like a lifeline. "We'll figure this out." He moved toward a window, desperately trying to peer outside at the downpour. Lily stood frozen for a moment, her heart racing. She had come here to bring light, in a sense, to brighten the day for the community. But in this darkness, doubts assailed her once again. Would Dylan's courage shine through when it mattered most? "Here, I've got some flashlights," said a voice nearby. It was Ellie, her hands trembling slightly as she flicked on a small beam of light. The glow illuminated her face, which wore a mask of determination. "Let's all help each other," Lily said, her voice steadier than she felt. She gathered some lemons, squeezing the juice into cups while others found candles or used their phones for light. As the crowd slowly regained a bit of confidence, Dylan's voice emerged from the shadows, carrying an authority that surprised Lily. "Everyone, keep moving. We'll set up a plan to keep people entertained while we wait for the power to return," he said, his presence commanding attention. The buzz of chatter shifted from panic to purpose, just like the rain splattering against the roof above them. Lily marveled at the transformation in him. Maybe this was what he needed, a push. Maybe the storm hadn't dimmed the lights, but instead had sparked something brighter. Around her, people began organizing games and storytelling sessions, laughter gradually rising as they huddled closer together, illuminated by flickering candles and the glow of phones. Lily found herself setting up a table for cookie creation, her favorite childhood pastime. As she mixed dough, along with the strong aroma of lemons lingering in the air, she caught sight of the little boy she had invited in earlier. He stood by his sister, his eyes wide with anticipation. "Cookies?" he asked, his small voice cutting through the noise. "Coming right up." She smiled, her heart melting. She scooped up a handful of dough and shaped it into a round ball, placing it carefully onto a baking sheet. "Can I help?" he whispered, his energy radiating hope. "Absolutely!" She handed him a rolling pin, and together they started flattening the dough. Laughter erupted when he managed to roll a smiley face cookie. The pure joy in his eyes made her forget the dark moment they had just endured. As she looked away, searching for Dylan, she saw him now at the back of the hall. He had gathered a group for storytelling, his voice weaving magic with every word as people sat around him, rapt with attention. Her heart swelled with pride. Maybe he was stepping out of his shadows after all. But even as hope flickered like the candles around them, a nagging worry lingered in her mind. Was this a true transformation, or merely an illusion born from the storm? Just then, a loud crash like thunder echoed from outside, causing the crowd to gasp collectively. "What was that?" someone shouted, concern rising once again. Lily exchanged worried glances with Noah. Were they about to face something bigger than the storm outside? With the vulnerability they already felt, could their community take another blow? The evening could end in joy or chaos. One thing was for certain. This unexpected night was far from over, and the real test was still coming. Would Dylan embrace this moment, or would he retreat once more? The tension in the air thickened after the crash outside, leaving everyone paralyzed with dread. Lily's heart raced as she scanned the faces around her, looking for reassurance. But all she found were wide eyes and clenched jaws, the laughter of earlier dying down to whispers and murmurs of concern. "Everyone, listen up!" Dylan's voice rose above the noise. It was firm and steady, cracking through the uncertainty like light breaking at dawn. "We need to stay together and assess what happened. Ellie, can you help me check the windows?" "Yeah, sure." Ellie nodded, her previous fear now transforming into resolve. They moved toward the largest window while the rest of the crowd focused on maintaining a semblance of calm. Lily crouched beside the little boy, still by her side, his small hands dusted with flour. "We can't let this dark moment take away our fun, right?" she prompted, trying to maintain the crumbling spirit of joy. Perhaps it was true. A cookie could be a beacon, even amidst chaos. "It's so quiet now," he said, his eyes darting toward the window. "Sometimes quietness can be good," she said, hoping her voice sounded more confident than she felt. Outside, the rain drummed steadily against the roof, drowning out the thunderous gloom with a comforting rhythm. As fear nibbled hungrily at the edges of their courage, a low creaking sound echoed through the hall. Every head turned toward the sound, anticipating something sinister. Maybe it was just something falling, Noah suggested, though his uncertain tone betrayed him. The crowd's unease merged into a collective heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. Lily gripped the table, feeling its splintered wood under her fingers. "It's okay," she whispered, not knowing whether she was convincing the boy or herself. "Let's keep making cookies. People love cookies." The boy's face brightened. "Can we make them for the others?" he asked, already forgetting the dread outside. "Exactly. Let's make the biggest batch ever." With renewed determination, she began rolling out more dough, and soon the scent of sugary hope began wafting through the air again. Ellie and Dylan returned from their brief exploration, both wearing expressions of relief mixed with worry. "The storm's uprooting branches. We saw a tree down a few blocks. It startled us, but we're safe," Dylan reassured everyone. "We'll keep this place secure. Don't forget about the candles," Ellie chimed in. "They might get us through until the power comes back on." With every passing moment, the collective fear began to ebb, replaced by purpose. Groups reformed, and Dylan led a storytelling circle, slowly reviving the warmth in the atmosphere. Laughter trickled back, starting with the children, and before long, the entire room echoed with joy again, a mini community within the confines of the hall. But in the depths of her mind, doubts festered. Why did she still feel this pull of desperation? Was it that they were towing this line between security and chaos? Just as she pulled a fresh batch of cookies from the oven, another crash sounded outside, followed by an ominous snap. Everyone froze. What was that? Someone's voice pierced the air, panic flaring once more. Lily's heartbeat thundered in her ears as she exchanged worried glances with Noah and Dylan. The night wasn't just a test of their spirit. It felt like it was pulling them toward something more. Whatever lay ahead wasn't just a storm. It was a reckoning. And just like that, a shadow fell across the window, casting doubt over the flickering glow of candles behind them. Would they be able to hold each other up when the ultimate challenge emerged from the shadows? The answer felt dangerously close, almost tangible, as they braced themselves. The shadow lingered at the window, a looming figure interrupting the fragile peace they had re-established. The flickering candles cast erratic light, and the silhouettes danced nervously against the walls, amplifying every heartbeat and whispered breath in the room. Lily's throat felt tight as she instinctively moved closer to the boy, whose innocent face reflected both curiosity and fear. "Dylan," she whispered, her voice barely above a hush. "What do we do?" Dylan's eyes narrowed towards the window, and he straightened. "Let's stay calm. We can't allow panic to take over again. I'll check it out." He gestured for Ellie to stay put, signaling her to watch over the group. "Wait," Lily called, her heart racing again. "Let me go with you." Before he could respond, a loud crash echoed, reverberating through the hall like a dark harmonic. It was closer this time, sending a wave of dread rippling through everyone. Anxiety climbed higher, and the shared glances spoke volumes of uncertainty. But they all knew they needed strength now more than ever. "Okay, fine." Dylan relented, his voice firm yet now laced with worry. "But stay close and keep quiet." They stepped toward the door, Ellie's whispered reassurance behind them now replaced by silence, as if the whole room was holding its breath. Each footfall felt heavy, the wooden floor creaking almost ominously beneath them. As they approached the window, Lily braced for whatever awaited them outside. "On 3, Dylan said, gripping the edge of the window. 1, 2, 3. He flung the window open, spilling cool air into the warmth of the room. Rain splattered violently against the ground below, but amidst the chaos, there was something else. A figure, hunched low near the remnants of the tree that had fallen. "What is that?" Lily's voice trembled. I don't know," Dylan murmured, peering closer, trying to make out the details. As a flash of lightning illuminated the scene, they caught a glimpse. A woman, her clothes tattered, mud smeared across her face, was sifting through the fallen branches, her movements frantic as she searched for something. "What's she doing?" Lily asked, her heart pounding. "Looks like she's looking for something she dropped," Dylan replied, the confusion evident in his tone. "Maybe we should go help her. She could be in trouble." "But what if she's not?" Lily's mind raced. She could sense danger lurking just beyond the rain. "Trust me," he said, determination etching deep lines in his brow. "We have to try. It's the right thing." They reluctantly moved outside, the rain hammering down harder now, drenching them in seconds. As they approached, the woman looked up, her eyes wide with surprise and exhaustion. "Please, just help me find it," she pleaded, her voice raw and desperate. "I can't lose it." "What did you lose?" Dylan asked, the concern in his voice intensifying. "My son's toy," she gasped, looking back toward the fallen tree. "It's all he has left of his father. I can't let it go." Lily felt a tugging in her chest. The warmth in her heart from the cookie baking before now felt like a distant memory, replaced by a visceral urge to help. She glanced at Dylan, their silent understanding echoing through the storm. "Let's help her," she said firmly, ready to face whatever came next. As they began to sift through the debris together, the weight of the moment sank in. Was this their challenge? Could they rise to meet it? Just then, another loud crash sounded nearby, sending a shiver down her spine. What else might they uncover in the heart of this storm? Lily tossed aside a tangle of branches, her heart pounding louder than the rain. "Here, let's check under this one," she called to Dylan, who was still kneeling beside the woman, his expression a mix of determination and empathy. The woman's hands trembled as she hurried closer. "His little dragon. It means everything to him," she cried, desperation lacing her voice. "I can't go home without it." As they worked together amidst the wreckage, a strange unity began to blossom, tying them to each other and the shared experience of loss and hope. Rain soaked their clothes, but under the waterlogged branches was a fire burning within them, a collective fight against despair. "What if he's scared?" Lily breathed to Dylan, glancing back at the storm. "What if they need us?" "I know," he replied, shifting the branches with renewed urgency. "Let's find it. We have to." With each swing of her arm, Lily felt the weight of the moment deepening. Suddenly, something caught her eye, a glimmer of color peeking from the shadows beneath a thick piece of wood. "Look!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the storm's roar. As she bent down to uncover the object, the rain paused for just a heartbeat, and for that moment, hope surged. She pulled it from the debris. It was the toy dragon, its bright colors vibrant even in the dismal weather. "I found it!" she yelled, holding it high for everyone to see. The woman gasped, her eyes welling with tears. "You found it!" She rushed forward, reaching for the toy, her face breaking into a radiant smile that rivaled any sunbeam. "Oh, thank you." They offered it to her, and as her fingers wrapped around the dragon, Lily felt an overwhelming surge of shared joy. This was more than just a toy. It was a reminder of love, a link to family, and a symbol that they could weather the storm together. "What's your name?" she asked the woman, who was now cradling the toy as if it were the most precious thing in the world. "I'm Rose," she said, relief flooding her voice. "And you? You're all angels." Dylan stepped forward, the rain cascading off his hair like a waterfall. "We just did what anyone would do. If you're in trouble, you don't have to face it alone." In that instant, a collective understanding swept over the group. No one was alone. Whether it was through cookies, lemonade, or now a toy dragon, they had transformed connections, stitching their community together. The storm outside raged on, but inside, a calm had settled over them. They were united in compassion. Lily felt a spark of something deep inside her. "Let's get everyone in from the rain. You can come with us, Rose," she invited, her heart swelling. "We have cookies." As they turned back toward the hall, a thunderous crack split the sky, and a bright flash of lightning illuminated the path ahead. But this time there was no fear in her heart. Instead, a warm glow of hope pushed against the darkness. Inside the hall, the atmosphere shifted. When they returned, soaked but triumphant, the crowd erupted with applause, having witnessed the breathtaking act of kindness unfolding right before their eyes. Rose's smile was contagious. "You are all wonderful," she said, tears of gratitude streaming down her face. Dylan stepped forward, addressing the group. "Today, we've shown what it means to stand together. Let's not just be about lemonade. Let's carry this spirit beyond the storm." His voice rang strong and clear, and Lily felt a rush of pride in him. This was the moment when he embraced a higher purpose, shifting from doubt to leadership, binding their community in shared struggle. "Together," the crowd echoed back, voices amplified by solidarity. Just then, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating their faces, glowing in their sense of purpose. Laughter and chatter filled the room once more, and Noah sidled up to Lily. "We did it," he said, his eyes twinkling with awe. "Yes," she agreed, her heart overflowing. "And now we can keep doing it." As the evening wound down, Lily looked around at the people coming together, laughing, sharing stories, and celebrating not just their victories, but the bonds that had forged through the storm. Families mingled, exchanging baked goods and hopes for the future. "Could we really keep this alive?" she whispered to Noah, a hint of worry creeping back. "Absolutely. They want to help just like us," Noah assured her, filled with a sway of infectious enthusiasm. He grabbed her hand, and they joined the crowd inching toward the makeshift stage for storytelling. Standing there with friends and newfound allies under their roof, the storm's fury couldn't dampen. The fire would keep burning in their community. Lily looked into the faces around her, compassion radiating, determination strengthening, and a revived spirit finding purpose as they huddled close together. "Now we can really make a difference," she said softly, watching everything unfold. "We'll spread kindness like lemonade." As laughter echoed and courageous spirits soared, Lily felt one undeniable truth settle into her heart. Real change begins with a single act of compassion. With every drop of rain that fell outside, they had risen together, paving the way for a brighter tomorrow. This was their moment. Together, they could weather any storm. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that show the power of our communities. Hit that like button right now. It makes a world of difference. Comment with your reactions and feelings about the ending. You know that your voice matters. Don't wait. Not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support means everything to us, so let's keep this momentum going.